Attention ministry leaders. Have you ever considered growing your ministry with television? Well, the Daily Gospel Network could be what you've been looking for. As one of the nation's largest Christian broadcasting companies, the Daily Gospel Network broadcasts all over the world on popular streaming platforms like Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV. If you're looking to grow and reach more people, the Daily Gospel Network could be your solution.
Looking for inspiration, motivation, and the good news of Jesus Christ? Look no further. The Daily Gospel Network has what you need. With more than 300 ministries from all over the country broadcasting every week, you're sure to get your dose of spirit-filled encouragement from the great programs on the Daily Gospel Network. Catch the Daily Gospel Network on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, all mobile devices, and the internet.
Get ready for Purpose Today with Dr. April Dobson. Ignite your spirit and fuel your passion for life with inspiring stories, empowering guests, and transformative ideas. Whether you're pursuing dreams, overcoming challenges, or seeking a spark of positivity, you're in the right place. Together, we'll explore resilience, creativity, and our limitless potential. So sit back and prepare to be inspired. Let's unlock incredible possibilities on Purpose Today with Dr. April Dobson.
Hello, and welcome to a power-packed episode of Purpose Today. I'm your host, Dr. April Dobson, and I'm very excited for our very special guest, Lynn. She is an author, a mentor, a mental health advocate, and she's a transformational life coach. So we're very excited to welcome Lynn to the show.
Hi,
Lynn,
April.
welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
And I'm very excited to have you as a guest on Purpose Today. And thank you to all of our guests who are tuning in. And I know that our guests would love an opportunity to get to know more about you. So if you don't mind, could you just share a little bit about yourself with our viewers?
Absolutely. I am a tenured corporate professional turned transformational life coach. I'm also a recovering people pleaser, which I'm sure many can relate to. And so I've been in the coaching space officially for 6 years, but I've done it pretty much most of my adult life. So I work with women and men on helping them how to show up authentically and really have great relationships with themselves and those that they're in a relationship with.
That is awesome. Thank you so much for sharing about yourself. And, you said at the offset that you recovered from being a people pleaser. And I think that is fantastic that you've done that. I know some people can fall into, the pit of trying to please people. What would you say would be some top tips to help people to avoid people-pleasing tendencies?
So one of the things really that stood out to me and was the aha for me was really understanding that every time you say yes and you kind of had that gut feeling about, oh, I wish I said no, that is your cue. So if you say yes to something and it's really not aligned with you and your soul, then you're betraying yourself. And so I didn't really understand that every time I did that, I was kind of self-abandoning. I was betraying myself in a sense. And no wonder I didn't have any confidence or self-esteem, because every time I did that, I chipped away at it. And so if you feel that you are self-conscious or that you can't really trust yourself and therefore trust life, it's because at some point in your life, or maybe many, you have done the same. And many of us do that because it gives you a sense of belonging, but you feel like you need to go along with the things that might not be actually aligned with you. And so along the way, you kind of lose yourself. And I really have lost myself. I didn't know who I was at the end of it all. And so it took me having, to trace back to kind of figure out who am I truly under all these masks that I have worn most of
Wow.
my life. And so that happened for me 6 years ago. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, for
Wow.
the majority of my life, it was all, I take care of everybody else and, make sure everybody's happy and everybody's cared for at my own emotional and mental demise. And
Wow.
so, yeah, you kind of lose yourself.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And I believe that's a really valuable tip. And, for anyone who's watching, if you didn't catch that tip, that wonderful tip, it's to understand when to say no and only say yes when it agrees with your soul. And I think that's excellent advice. And you mentioned, earlier that you were in the corporate world. And, I think it would be great for our viewers to just get an understanding of what really inspired you to pivot from the corporate world to doing what you now do professionally. Can you share some insight regarding your experience and what caused you to pivot?
Absolutely. Yes. So, I grew up in a place where once you find a job, you stay there until you retire. And so I had that mentality and that mindset. So I've really worked in my career to build it up. So it started on the bottom and I'm kind of growing, growing, growing. And 18 years later, I realized that I was not aligned, that I didn't feel that passion anymore. It was in the healthcare field, and things have shifted on the outside in the whole healthcare space. But I was always leaning toward the mental health, the caring, the coaching, the guiding. And so I didn't even know that you could be a coach. I really did not know at that time. And I didn't think that I could make a profession out of this, let alone have a business. And it really goes to show that if you are kind of stuck in your little cocoon, you don't know what opportunities you have out there. And
Wow.
I was so set in my little cocoon, being comfortable, knowing things, doing things the same way. It was that redundancy that really kind of woke me up in a sense that there was there was a need for something new. I needed novelty and I didn't know where to start. So finally, 6 years ago, I said goodbye to that position, as hard as it was, because I've put my life, into it for 18 years. That's 18 years of my life,
Wow.
to start something new. But I have to tell you, being a coach is so rewarding. It is wonderful. And being able to kind of call the shots yourself, not have the red tape that comes with all that, um, has really made such a big change in the way I'm thinking, in the way I show up in the world. 6 years ago, you wouldn't see me on a show
Wow.
speaking out there, and so things have definitely shifted for me.
That's good. I know you talked about the leap and, the it took some courage for you to take that leap. So were there any challenges that you had to overcome, to make that pivot? You had been doing something for nearly 2 decades and you decided to make a pivot. So what challenges did you encounter and how did you overcome those challenges?
Well, first is the security factor. Like, how do you leave a job not knowing what to expect? Second was getting my husband on board about me leaving that job, because now it was not just my decision, it was our decision. And he saw that I really was not fulfilled in that position anymore. And so it meant a lot to me that he understood that and did not expect me to stay there. Because I know that there's so many couples out there who are kind of not, between the rock and a hard place when someone comes and says they want to change or they want to pivot in some way. There's always that fear of unknown. And so that was definitely something that kept me back. But I trusted myself enough to know that, I wouldn't be wanting these things if it weren't met for me. And
That's
so
good.
that was really what kind of pushed me over the edge, if you will, so that I could take that leap. And so my husband, of course, was afraid too. He was very hesitant about, our security and this and that, and um, having mortgage, having bills, having kids, all of these things do come into play when you make these big decisions. And so I gradually really did that pivot. So I was kind of having a side thing while I was figuring out what to do from now on. And that's really how it sort of developed, bit by bit, bit by bit. Because you don't want to just, leave your job and leap into it. You want to test it out, see what works. Because initially, when I started this, I was life balance coach. I was not a transformation coach or a relationship coach. And so for me, it was more about finding the life balance for me as I was in this pivot phase. And so, and then over the years, it just kind of morphed into what I'm doing right now.
That's wonderful. Well, I think, I heard you give, two more pieces of advice if someone missed it, that it's important to trust yourself, right? That's very important. And I heard you say that you started working on building things out as you were still, in your other positions. So we have to start working on our dreams while we're transitioning to build what we're desiring as we are pivoting. So
Mm-hmm.
that's
Yeah.
another great piece of advice. And I also heard you say that you spoke with your husband, you all had conversations, you talked about the things that were crucial. And I think, that was a very healthy step. And it was an essential step for you to have, not only the support that you needed, but the confidence and some added confidence in what you were doing because it was a partnership. So I think given all that information, I think it would be great. And I think a lot of viewers probably want to know, what are some of the approaches that you utilize to help people with building healthy relationships?
Well, everyone comes from different walks of life. So for me, it's really understanding the dynamic that they have had and to understand what are some blind spots that may be causing issues. So ideally, what you want to do if you are with someone right now is really understand, you know, get to know each other, ask questions, be curious, get to know each other. There's so many couples who have been together for a long time, but they really don't know each other. And I've noticed that. And so many split apart and they move on and they fall into the same case scenarios because they really don't understand the essence of communicating and communicating freely what you feel and not try to mask things up. Because if you want to have a healthy relationship and if you want to come together to make such giant decisions in your life, you need to be able to be yourself, to speak your mind. And what helps is really having same values, walking in the same direction with each other. Because if you don't, there's going to be clashing, there's going to be push and pull, and that's really hard to sustain. And that's why there's so many couples who, have been in toxic relationships or who have been like passive aggressive relationships. And so really finding that place where you can be you and they can be them is essential if you want to build life together.
That's good. I think those are some really great tips. And, for anyone who, kind of missed it, I have those, showing, it is important for people to get to know each other, for them to ask questions, to be curious. And, open communication is very important. So communicating freely, being their self, being authentic, having those common shared values, and walking in the same direction. I think that's very important. It's very important that people, agree so that they can continue to walk in the same direction and agree on the right things. So I know that there is a lot, I can tell that there's a lot that you have to offer, that you can bring value, to people and to, relationships. And so if we do have viewers who are, interested in the services that your company offers, what are the steps that they should take?
So just reach out to me. What I typically do is I book a call with you for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes at the most, to kind of learn whether or not we can actually be the right fit. Because it doesn't mean that just because I can do these things that it's actually the right fit for you. So that's the first step. And then second step is what we decide. So if we're the right fit, then we're going to talk about, do you need 6 weeks? Do you need 12 weeks? How often do we meet? What type of support you need? And so it's really so case by case.
That's good. And do you find that for people who are interested in your services, do you have couples who partner together to use the services? Do you find you have a nice mixture of people who are single, people who are couples? Just what's some of? Can you give us some insight on that in case
So
people?
I've had a combination. Mostly they're single, looking for love, looking to do it right this time. But I've had couples who have come to me. However, it's really, it has been a bit difficult to get them all on the same page. So I've had some reach out to me and say, we're going through separation, so I need some support around that. But mostly is really singles who are trying to win at love and life and want to do things the right way. And the way I do that is by shifting their perception, because a lot of those who come to me have been heartbroken, just lost faith in love, don't believe that there is anybody out there for them. And so we work through the authenticity, we work through the blind spots, we look through the patterns that were happening in the past, and then we unlearn all that. Because only then when you unlearn can you start building the blocks. So the point is really for me is I help those who do come to me understand the relationship to self and then understand the relationship to anybody else that they meet. And
That's awesome.
so it could be a combination of that. And I also do any type of, dating. So if they need dating profiles, I do the review for that. It just depends. Like I said, it's really case by case. It doesn't, it's not one size fit all.
Okay, that's good. And I heard you say a few things that you named for individuals who are single, who are looking for love, who want to do it right. If they've, had a relationship that was unsuccessful. And I heard you talk about being authentic, seeing their self right, having the right relationship with their self. Is there anything else that you see that's common for people who are single and who are, looking for, love? They have a desire for a spouse that you see that's also a commonality. I know there's not a one size fit all, but just, some things that you've just observed in your advice and your coaching.
What I've seen a lot is we tend to repeat things that have happened in a relationship with other individuals. So you can move countries, you can move continents, but because of your pattern of behavior, you're going to have same case scenarios with every person you meet, just in different clothes, different cars, different homes. And so that has definitely been the consistent. And so that's why it's so essential to identify those, because a lot of that is subconscious. And when things are subconscious, you don't realize that you're doing them. And so there's a lot of connection between, when you were a kid and how that impacted you and your relationship with your parents. And so it really goes into the nitty and gritty. So there's a lot of what I enjoy when I work with someone, especially if we work long term, is I really get to know them. I really get to know who they are. And that's why I would advise if you do have a coach and you find someone who is the right fit, stick with them. Because the more they know about you, the more they can point out for you. The deeper trust you can build with each other. Because when there's trust, then you can get to the bottom, that the root cause of the issue. Then it would be just, let's just have one session and that's it. Because you cannot fix your life in one session. You cannot remove the blind spots and the patterns in one session. And so, yeah, but the constant is definitely that whole approach of, going to a relationship thinking things are going to be different, but you're the common denominator.
That's good. Well, I think that that's amazing. You've got given some great tips, that working on yourself is a process. It's something that you continue to work on. So when you find a great coach, stick with that coach to continue to help you to navigate through those things. So I have your website that's showing if there's anyone who's interested in contacting Lynn and using her services. I have the website that is scrolling across the screen. I also understand that you have a Facebook page, and that viewers can contact you via Facebook as well. You want to talk a little bit
Yeah,
about?
follow me, connect with me, add me as a friend. What I typically do is I share tips, techniques, wisdom, if you will, of what I've gone through. And for the most part, anything that might be an issue for you, it's actually a great resource. If you have any questions, so feel free to connect with me on Facebook, because that's where everything is happening. So any type
Wonderful.
of event is going to be on Facebook, any
Fantastic.
lives and such.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you,
And
April.
you're welcome. And is there anything else, about either yourself or your business that we haven't had an opportunity to discuss yet that you would like to share with our viewers?
Sure. One of the things that I really do not broadcast because it's a very sensitive issue is if you are in a toxic relationship and you want to get out of it, if you are trauma bonded and you're having a really hard time, I have helped those get out of relationships like that. So that is really not something that is kind of out in the open, just because it can be very complex situation. You might have kids or you might be single. Usually, if you're single and you're in the relationship like that, it's easier to escape. But if at any point you feel like you're in an emotionally abusive relationship or you're in a physically abusive relationship, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be happy to show you some resources, to give you some guidance, because I've done that in the past. There's actually half a dozen clients I had who have actually left and gone on to rebuild their lives. One in particular just had a baby. And so if you believe that you need to get out, that you're not safe, then feel free to reach out to me and I'll see how I can assist you.
Thank you. I really appreciate you sharing that. And,
Absolutely.
I think it's great that you offer a safe space for
Mhm,
people, for
mhm.
people who want to, leave a situation that's toxic or abusive or that's less than desirable. But you're also creating safe spaces for people, to have healthy relationships. So people who aren't
Yeah.
even, experiencing, abuse or toxicity in relationships,
Mhm.
and allowing people to be authentic with themselves and have the right expectation, and to to break some patterns that are necessary for them to break. I tell you, this has been wonderful. I really appreciate you coming on the show today to share with us. I'm going to put your website and your Facebook again, so it's there for anyone who wants to connect
Thank you.
with Lynn. This has been wonderful. So thank you so much for joining us
Thank you,
today. We
April.
really, really appreciate you. And one final question that I want to ask, I didn't ask this before. We didn't talk about where you're located and if you have any preferred locations for clients, or are you available to take clients globally? We didn't talk about that.
I am taking everybody globally. So it could be US, Europe, Canada, Australia. I mean, now with the what we have right now, the fact is that you're in Hawaii and I'm right here in LA. The fact that we could see each other, it's been just incredible. So if anybody wants to reach out, wherever they are in the world, feel free to do so. We have the means to do that.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. Thank you again
Thank you,
for
April.
You're very welcome. And we definitely would love an opportunity for you to, come back on the show if the opportunity presents.
Absolutely, I'd love that.
And so thank you. Thank you so much. I think, to have such, to me, the services that you provide, the coaching, the counseling, I think it's important. And, I think there, are a lot of people who can, benefit from what you offer. And so there may be an opportunity for you to come back again. If there's someone who's watching and you decide to connect with Lynn and you see the benefit after receiving the coaching and you want to come back and you want to share your story, then, I would love to have that opportunity for you to do that. So thank you so much, Lynn. We really appreciate you.
Thank you, April.
And you're very welcome. And thank you to all of the viewers who are watching from around the world. So thank you again. We'll be right back after this break.
Looking for inspiration, motivation, and the good news of Jesus Christ? Look no further. The Daily Gospel Network has what you need. With more than 300 ministries from all over the country broadcasting every week, you're sure to get your dose of spirit-filled encouragement from the great programs on the Daily Gospel Network. Catch the Daily Gospel Network on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, all mobile devices, and the internet.
Wow, what an amazing interview and discussion with Lynn. I've left the Facebook information and the website there in case you didn't have an opportunity to view that earlier. There is just so much value that Lynn brought to us today. And again, just to give a few, recaps of, some of the things that she shared on our show today. I just want to give you an opportunity if you, have not yet to, connect. I have the Facebook that's there so that you can see it. But I just want to just show and do a recap of some of the things that she shared that I thought really stood out in the beginning. She talked about understanding when to say no and only saying yes when it agrees with your soul. She then talked about trusting yourself, being able to know that what you feel and you're sensing that you need to do and you need to pivot. Just trust yourself and believe in yourself. And another thing that she said is to start working on your dream while you're transitioning to build what you're desiring as you're working through pivots. And with healthy relationships, she gave us some tips to get to know each other, ask questions, be curious, communicate freely, be yourself, be authentic, have some shared values, and walk in the same direction. So I really appreciate you all tuning in. If we have anyone on the show, we heard how Lynn pivoted from a corporate career into coaching. So if there's anyone out there who feels that you need to pivot, but you don't know how, I do encourage you to email us at admin@purposetoday.com. Again, that's admin@purposetoday.com. And we'd love to have you on the show to talk with you about your situation, walk you through some tips. So thank you again for tuning in today. We really appreciate it. And we hope you will tune in next time on Monday at 7 a.m. Eastern Time for Purpose Today. And remember, be purposeful today and every day. Thank you again for watching. It's been a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you for tuning in to Purpose Today with Dr. April Dobson. Our mission is to ignite your spirit and fuel your passion for life. Join us next time for more inspiring stories, empowering guests, and transformative ideas that uplift and motivate. Whether you're chasing dreams, facing challenges, or just seeking a spark of positivity, we're here to inspire you. Together, we'll explore resilience, creativity, and the limitless potential within us all. So, until next time, stay inspired from your friends at Purpose Today with Dr. April Dobson.